Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever edition of the Contest Realm podcast. Now, just going to kick things off, I'm joined as always, and I will be joined with always, by Frontline MCOC, Dan, Frontline MCOC. And I just want to point out links in the description to his work, his site, his blog, and as well, if you want to go and follow me on social media and YouTube, I am RichTheMan. And this is our first edition, so there's a lot of things that we still need to work out, and at the same time where the permanent home will be for this podcast. But I'd like to introduce and say, how are you doing to Dan?
Hey Rich, I am doing awesome. I'm so glad to be here for our first episode. This is something we've been talking about for months, so it's great to finally get going on it. And we picked a great week to start because there is so much going on in the contest right now.
Oh god, yeah. I was going to say, I was going to say, how honest do we be? And the first thing to say is I actually deleted the structure for our podcast, and
it's I think we're gonna rock and roll it, Rich. I have faith that we're gonna get through it.
I think that's the thing we said. We got so much to talk about, but at the same time, it's always better to just start off, just keep talking, start the dialogue, because there's no rest for stuff that we're going to be addressing today.
Oh no, we've got. There are definitely some ongoing issues in the game that are sort of holdovers from December, and they've been getting a lot of press, and we've gotten some recent updates on them. And I think the first one that we want to touch on is the arena bots, because they showed up in a big way in December, and I think that coincided with the return of the gifting event, which is a separate issue. I think one certainly impacted the other, and I know you were covering the arena bots heavily because you were getting a lot of people bringing them up. We were seeing them in the scores, and then we finally got news of a ban wave recently. So what's kind of been the fallout from that? Have you gotten any updates from that story?
Nothing really. Kabam keep very quiet on these kind of things. I think they go back to the old rebuff from the never use third party software, blah blah blah.
Yep.
That kind of thing. I know that there's a few MCC YouTubers that keep really kind of like a finger on a pulse with these things, but Kabam not to acknowledge them. I don't know why they don't acknowledge that whole kind of subject, but it just seems like it's a positive. It's a real positive, but should this be done before, or is it before these kind of arenas went in? Or as we said, this could be while the gifting event came in. As soon as these special yearly based arenas dropped, we saw an influx of them. So where do you think people were going? I know you said that it was maybe a gifting event, but are there other things? Do you think there may be other things at work that people were trying to kind of start these bot accounts for the purpose of monetary things?
I believe they were, because I was getting bombed on Facebook with ads to use a certain bot. So if someone's paying Facebook to advertise their bot, clearly they're trying to get monetary gain from their bot. I mean, there's no way around it. Why else would you do that? So when you've got a bot making a hard push like that, and spending money to try to get out there, that something fishy is going on. I think we have to remember, the time frame for this was kind of like a perfect storm, because it was all going on, over the Christmas and New Year's break. So there wasn't a lot of communication from Kabam. I'm sure, like any other company, they had a lot of employees taking time off, going home to be with families. So I just get the sense, from, the communication that we get from, Kabam, we weren't seeing a lot of forum posts. We weren't seeing a lot of responses. Yeah. So kind of all this was going on while they didn't have their full team available to, on the game. And they weren't communicating about it. And I know a ton of people were reporting bots and things like that, which is all great and all stuff that you should have to do. But I think you brought up a really good point is, we all want the game cleaned up. If you see something that's fishy, report it. But you're going to have to just remember that you're never going to get the satisfaction of knowing if you got someone busted for botting or anything like that. Like, they're never going to tell you.
No.
You know, they're never going to put up a ban list or email you back and be like, "Oh, thanks. Like that dude was totally cheating." You know, like you're never going to get that. And I think, you know, that's something that hits people hard because they obviously see the negative of the botting. You know, they aren't getting, you know, they're competing in arenas. They, you know, can be used for other shenanigans. But they, you know, you're never going to get to see what they're doing to clean it up. And we know that they're not going to talk about any sort of security measures because that just puts that information out there for the people trying to cheat. So, you know, I am sensitive to the fact that, you know, from Kabam's point of view, like it's a PR battle that they, you know, the way it's set up, they're just not going to win it because we're only going to talk about the bad, and they have a policy where they can't talk about, you know, they can't talk about what they're doing to clean it up.
But it goes down to like all public. Something that I think Kabam do at times, but I don't know if they would ever agree that they do. This kind of like bad publicity is good publicity with them. Even it was quite weird to see that Kotaku, who have a bit of a mixed relationship. Are you familiar with Kotaku?
I'm not.
No, this is a site or kind of like games like company called Kotaku. They've been kind of embroiled with a lot of kind of like weird press, and they made like this kind of little Twitter dig at the fact that Kabam put in Squirrel Girl into their game. But that's something I think will I should really say for further on in the podcast. But I just find it kind of weird. Obviously, with all publicity is good publicity. But I've gone off on tangent to bring it back on point with the arena boss. I feel sorry for those that have missed out, and it goes back to like something I said like a year ago with the Olympics. If position 2 and position 3 are known to be doping, then it's a case that position 4 gets second place and 5th gets fourth gets third and third gets whatever it is. It moves people up the table so people don't lose out on the medal. Could that principle be worked into MCOC at the point of some of these known arena bots? You know, getting those people that may have lost out on position 400 because of, or, you know, 400 to 430 because of all these bots. Should they have been allowed to jump up into getting the champions that they so richly deserve?
Yeah, I mean, ideally that would be great. I mean, you want to reward the people that played fair, because, you know, think about the good publicity you would get. Say, you know, you finished 405 and then suddenly you get an in-game mail that says like, "Hey, after reviewing the arena results, we see that you you know, you were playing fairly and there were some that were not, and you know, we're rewarding you the champion after reviewing the results." Like, I mean, that's a lot of positive press. Like, people would love that, and it would be very proactive. I don't know how feasible it is, but I mean, clearly, it would be a proactive measure that the player base would love. And, you know, considering the, you know, I know the sticking point is with champion acquisition, how expensive it is. You're either paying a lot of money on Cavalier crystals, you're spending a lot of time and money on arena refreshes, or you're playing the long game and you're hoping to spin some crystals. Yeah. So you know, those things, all these issues tie together. It's a complex ecosystem in the game for sure.
Absolutely. Because then that played some part in one of the other things we're going to be talking about, and that's the gifting side of things. Because there was so much publicity, and again, it's before we start talking about this, I think it's best to say that we don't know what 100% that anything that we're going to discuss is accurate, but obviously a lot of this stuff is based on what some people are saying and other people are saying, because there's stuff with some very key alliances, again, not to go and kind of say names, but I think we all know who we're talking about here, where people had used alternate accounts, maybe not, from things like merking accounts, unit holding accounts, that helped to tip the balance or tip the gifting event in the favor of one alliance as opposed to another. And I don't know if this was across the board, if people are doing it or not. It's been a very sticky situation with that gifting event, hasn't it?
It really has, and I think we have to take a step back and remember, for as much negativity as there was out of the end of the gifting event, if you were looking at the forums on in November, every 5 minutes there was a post: is gifting coming back? Is gifting coming back? We want gifting. We want gifting. So, I think there's a very different perception of gifting at the probably at the mid game, or even towards the top, versus those alliances that are spending some serious money to try to get those prizes and get the rank rewards. Because personally, for my alliance, and we're an AQ, top 500 alliance, goal 1, plat 4. Like, I thought we had a great gifting, and got all the rewards I thought were reasonably achievable and more than last year. And from my point of view, it was great, but I only spent like $35 on gifting and used the units that I ground out from Arena. And I think there's a lot of people like me. But like you were saying, the stuff that gets the real press is you've got these famous players at the top. They're talking about it. And like, clearly things were going on between murking and botting and shuffling accounts in. But there's this is where you got to be careful, because there's a big difference between, we know some things were going on that look bad but weren't against the rules. And that's something I think that needs to be worked on next year. I think people really like the idea of if you're not in the alliance for the end of the gifting event, your points shouldn't count. That would clean a lot up.
That's so true. I would like to think that, because this year, sorry, so I keep on thinking of this. I keep thinking it's 2019. When it was 2019, it's always been, and as I've reiterated, is that each year it's got a little bit worse with elements of toxicity. But you did hit the nail on the head by kind of pointing out this is just reflects maybe the top 10 of alliances that would, say, theoretically spend. And again, hit nail on the head with the same issue that but what I've said in 2019 gifting event. I didn't want to spend as much, and that's just based on like personal things, like I'm trying to save up for a wedding, and if I decided to spend, then it just affects like how much goes towards something personally. But I did spend probably about 100. I think it was £100. Plus anything that I asked, people said like, look, can you send me gift cards for Christmas so I can then use them, so obviously for videos and like the channel and stuff, which meant obviously there was a low spend. But for others who spent to not win, well, they spent because they wanted to win.
I mean, it's the contest. And there was a substantial carrot for the number one alliance. That T5 CC selector, that sucker is the most valuable prize we've ever seen. And with how competitive the prestige race and AQ placement is, winning that for the, it's not just winning it for yourself. If you win it for yourself and 29 other people who you're playing with and depending on for rewards, that's as big a deal as it gets.
I just, the more that I think about it, like, it didn't, I mean, I personally, I didn't care because it didn't affect me as much, and probably like most people, yourself, did you get like top 5%? Like lots of people seem to get
the 1 to 5%. I think
1 to 5%. Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
if you were active, your alliance was pretty much getting that.
Yeah, so. And that's the thing. Like, I know some people were kind of memeing on one another, like, you haven't done this amount of, like, and you haven't done this amount in the alliance. And it's like, that's the tough side of things, because there's people in my alliance that maybe couldn't even like put as much as maybe say I put or others. So I'm like, I don't care. Just put in what you can, because it's, even though it's like it's meant to be competitive, but I don't know, like some people had, so if you come into the alliance and you have to put X amount in, otherwise you're not gonna, we're gonna kick you. And people were kicked from alliances. Which
sure.
Apart from that stuff at the top, which obviously there was a bit of strategy behind that. Well, yeah, I just hope that things have worked out better. They come up with a better option for not a gift. Personally, I don't know about you. I don't like the idea of a gifting event in 2020. But I don't know how you learn it.
I'd like to see something come back, but I would like to see it modified in a way. I would like to see the restriction for it only counts within your, you have to be in the alliance at the end of the event for your points to count. And I would like to see it more of a trading event than a gifting event, because I think we see a lot at the low end is, you saw, I got scammed, and what they're really talking about is someone on Facebook or global or a line chat being like, I'll trade with you, and they don't know the people. And this community is so large. There's so many players, and there's a lot that aren't connected to the community that we think of as the core and are interacting with every day, and they just they don't know where to go. They don't they may be newer to the game, and that part's unfortunate too. So it would be great if because let's face it, we all use it as a trade.
Yeah.
Like it would be great to have it more like that, where sort of I send you 300 units worth of stuff and ask for something back, and you have to hit agree.
Yeah.
And then and that would take the scamming element too. So I think that would remove a lot of the bad taste towards the lower end players.
I think a lot of
the event.
There's a lot of other games that employ that type of mechanic. I'm just trying to think of like ones, because I haven't played like World of Warcraft in a while, or I haven't played like RuneScape, but I know that there was like mechanics similar, not directly comparing MCOC to RuneScape or World of Warcraft, but I'm just kind of like comparing the idea that I don't know if it's more safer in those kind of games, or maybe they can take some idea. I don't know. Like I said, personally, I'm done with the gifting event and would like to see Kabam come up with something new. I think new for 2020.
Yeah, I think they do have to do something, because if they just don't run the event, that's a lot of rewards people aren't getting the opportunity to acquire. And let's face it, this many years in, like I said, there was a reason for all those forum posts in November, because people want those rewards, and there's a lot of people that do love popping those greater gifting crystals, and it's a lot of rewards.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is hopefully if they run it, they can find a way to tighten it up, so that we don't have to deal with sort of the drama coming out of it, and we can just walk away feeling good and feeling like the results are legitimate, because let's face it, there's that was the whole argument this year, that the results were not legitimate, and it's really tough to it's one side accusing the other side, and we really have no way of knowing. Certainly there's some screenshots, and you say, okay, well, what does that really prove? It's very, very tough.
Yeah, and one example of that is that somebody on the forums, I saw it and I think I talked about it, I can't remember, where they claimed that they had one of the people had bought cheap units from Mercs or whatever, and said this is their credit card. It was an American Express card with the last 4 digits. Does that narrow down who it actually was? But then the person said, oh, if you go to line, you'll be able to see it. And it's like, again, the same thing. Where was that? I didn't come to line.
Right.
No, it's essentially like, I've not seen it. I don't know if they've gone to other people to kind of like showcase that, but I didn't see that on YouTube or anywhere. But again, that just goes down to it's in the community, but it only really reflects what's going on with the top alliances. And yes, there could be instances where there's other people who are buying cheap units, which is still a big problem in the community. I still find it surprising that people are getting their accounts banned, and a lot of the time, I even reiterate, play clean, and how people would say, what do you mean play clean? Well, play without buying any kind of unscrupulous units from anywhere. Make sure that you don't allow people to do merc services on your account, because it will get found out. And if any of those people right at the very top have been doing what maybe some people are claiming, then you will be found out. And have those people been found out a year later? No, but people are being found out.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's waiting for, someone high profile to get popped.
Yeah.
But, like you were saying about, line screenshots, it's like the burden of proof is very, very high on these things. And, they're not just going to, smack someone with the ban hammer just because you send them a screenshot of a line chat. That's it's a very serious thing.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying before is, if you think something's up, if you see something suspicious, please submit it. But like I said, you're not going to be able to see it through to the other side, and you're just gonna have to resolve yourself to doing your little bit on it.
Yeah, and that's talking about something as well. If we keep on the topic of accounts, a lot of people come to me privately and say my account has been banned, or I see in the forums my account has been banned, and they they're saying I've played clean. But I have seen some person, I think I put it into MC News on Friday's edition about the ban wave, where someone said I modded once, but I now play clean. But again, the problem is that could mean absolutely nothing.
Right.
You could still. The thing is, I don't know that person, and I would be putting a massive bit of trust into somebody to stand up for them. When I don't know them personally, I don't sit by them while they're kind of using their account. It would be. Sorry, go on.
No, it's funny because I just got contacted on Discord the other day by someone's like, hey, do you want to check out my bot? And I was like, no, that sounds like a good way to get my account banned. And they're like, oh, no, my bot's safe. I have anti-ban technology. I was like, okay, sure you do, bud.
What the?
Right?
Jesus.
Like, it's like, oh, you thought of that. Then fine, yeah. It's it's unfortunately there's just, you can tell like that there's just a lot going on with this. Like it used to feel like it was a lot with like the BlueStacks and the emulators, and then that went away. But there's clearly some unfortunately fishy stuff going on right now, and I think between the gifting event and all those arenas over the holidays, it seems like we're coming out of a perfect storm of it.
Yeah. So the final word on the subject of bots from your Uncle Dan and Uncle Rich is, don't mess around with bots. You will get banned. You will be found out. Say goodbye. Kiss goodbye to your account. And now let's move on to something positive. An Acornucopia.
Acornucopia. Squirrel Girl's here, and you have to collect all those acorns, Rich. And it seems like the only negative to this event is the amount of explanation needed to get people to understand they only need 1 million acorns and the store doesn't refresh.
Oh, don't, Dan. I've had to explain this multiple times to M. I've done it.
I know.
Oh, did you watch that stream? Or did you hear about it?
I didn't see the stream, but I know you've done. I've seen you do enough videos of it.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, man, Rich is really. He's going back to this one again. What's going on here?
Yeah, I thought like that's it. No more on that kind of event for re-explanation. And I thought like people are smart enough to know, and they probably as of now know exactly. So I'm probably like I've bored too many people to death. But I've had to kind of because I've had to sit down and like explain with M the extent of her grind, what she needs to do, and stuff like that, and like trying to get her to understand like, well, where do I get more acorns from? Well, you go to this place, that place, you grab the acorns from doing that. Yeah, but what do I do with this solo event? Well, you get it from spending on the Squirrel store. Yeah, but I won't get enough acorns. Oh, you will. You just got to do X, Y, and Z, and you can do event quests. Yeah, but how do I get these solo events? Oh, again, like, but I won't get enough from that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But we're there. We're there.
We're there. I think by the end of the event, I think people are going to walk away with it with really positive feelings, because from my point of view, it is a very player-friendly event because it doesn't require you to grind, every 24 hours, and you're worried about, oh, I missed today, or it's just like, oh, it's you know how that gets. It's like it gets to like an hour before the reset, and you're like, oh, did I do it? like by the end of the event, you've done it so many times you can't remember whether you did it that day. So I just like that there's a lot of different options to get to your million acorns, because there's so many extra acorns available that you can say, like, well, I like the daily event, or well, I always do every level of the event quest, so I'm going to get most of them there.
Yeah.
Or I really like arenas, so I'm going to get my extra ones there. So anything that gives the player the option on how to control their grind is healthy.
Yeah.
And should be encouraged, because we've seen too much of it the other way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this month has been kind of like good as well. Like, what is it? We're only 12 days into the year, and I'm already kind of like, I'm quite chilled about what I'm doing grind wise. I'll fingers crossed, finish off this event maybe within within about 10, maybe like Friday of next week. I'll probably say I've pretty much done all I need to do from now, or maybe I won't, who knows, but I can not feel too stressed about that, and also get back to more permanent content. So I'm all for it this month. And yeah, I do like these overly grindy months, but I want to get back into doing more arena and just like the things in game that I absolutely love, and maybe pick up another game. Who knows? Just get that extra time. I did actually thought whilst I was just speaking, I'd pull up the person that did some criticism. I don't know if you've seen this. I did mention where it's now on 126 disagrees, which I think is that's beyond Kabam Mike level disagrees.
That is. Yeah, that's hard to achieve.
Yeah, and Kabam Mike, sorry, Mickey gets a lot of disagrees.
He does.
But yeah, I'm happy with the rewards. I think that it's a nice little added extra. If it didn't have this solo event, I probably would feel a little bit not sure about this. But if in essence, it's like saying, wasn't the side event that went with the Intel store and the recon initiatives?
Yeah.
Is it essentially like saying, right, well, you won't be spending your energy to grind out the stuff that's in the solo event area. It's kind of changed the way that it is. Let me try and explain that again. So we had, for that event, we had the Intel store, and we had recon initiatives. And was it once a week we were able to do one chapter?
This was a while ago.
Yeah,
so
and I kind of feel all
the Nick Fury one.
The Nick Fury one. Yeah, I kind of feel all the rewards that are in the solo event tab have been. It's kind of like switched with the way you kind of do that event. But it is good to have both those kind of rewards, solo event and the Squirrel store, because there's still like a good accumulation of stuff that has evolved, not by, I think, like what people would. There's some people that would want more than what has been delivered in that Squirrel store and that solo event tab. But I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, and it's an interesting way to do it, because it's another way that they've sort of tiered it by progression, so they can do this one game-wide event, but they've got the progression tiers in there, so they don't have to worry about giving people that have just started an account too much, but they're also not holding back the uncollected and cavalier players. It's a tricky balance. And one thing I really did like to see is, if you remember in December, there was a lot of talk about a tier 2 alpha shortage, and this month we have a tier 2 alpha in the calendar, and we have one in the Acorn store, and then we have another full one in the solo event. So that's 3 extra tier 2 alpha. So I don't know if that came out of the feedback or if that was planned, but it's certainly very nice to see.
Yeah, where do you stand on your shortage? Are you tier 5 basic short, or are you tier 2 alpha short, if you were to kind of compare?
I wouldn't say I'm really short on anything. I have tier 2 alpha in the overflow, and I have 2 tier 5 basic right now. So I guess I'm shorter on that. But I haven't done a ton of rank ups recently. I just took my Gladiator Hulk 6-star to rank 2 as my first rank 2 6-star.
Oh, nice.
So I'm definitely happy about that. I haven't been having an issue, but I think what happened was with the Tier 2 Alpha shortage is in November and December, you had Reed Richards come out as the highest prestige science champion.
Mm-hmm.
You had Dr. Doom come out as the highest prestige mystic champion, blowing away anyone else. And then you had Silver Surfer come out as the highest prestige cosmic champion and champion in the game. So you put 3 high prestige champions out in the row, 2 of which are basically mandatory for people at the top in the prestige race. And they probably burned through 20 or 30 tier 2 alphas in like 4 or 5 weeks because they had to.
I suppose it's handy with like having the great gifting crystals and the gifting event, is that it did sort of top us up with that. Yeah, those gifting crystals were pretty good this year. So yeah, I mean, certainly the tier 2 alpha thing we're gonna have to watch, but I think it really affected the high-end people at the top in the prestige race, and they were just very vocal about it because there's a lot of pressure. I mean, you know how it is in those top alliances. If you don't get Doom, if you don't get Surfer, if you don't get them awakened, if you can't hit this number, you're gone. Yeah, made a little bit. I would say, made a little bit worse by the fact that we've had tier 2 alpha for all of those top alliances removed from Alliance War seasons.
Oh yeah, and then they see that coming, and they're just like, wow, how are we going to be able to, keep up? And it's a fine balance in the game economy. I know, Kabam loves to talk about, it's like, well, your choices matter, and you have to be able to, make choices, and I agree that is very important. But you also want people to have fun ranking up champions, because let's face it, ranking up champions is one of the big reasons to play and collect, and it's super fun to have a new champion at max rank. We all love that. I mean, when I was able to rank 5 and awaken my Sunspot after Cyber Monday, I mean that it was awesome. It was like it added a freshness to my account.
I'm jealous.
And
I'm jealous of that.
Oh, Rich, you gotta get this boy.
But
He's good.
But saying that, I must admit, I sort of redeemed it was really weird. On the 31st, I recorded a video like I redeemed myself after the Christmas Day for 6 stars champions, which were absolutely abysmal. Even though I did get my boy King Groot, but on that day, on the 31st, just before obviously New Year's, I got myself a Cat Marvel movie and rank 2'd her as a 6-star. Yeah, I so enjoyed that. Thank you anybody watching for kind of the support on that video. That's the first kind of rank up video I've put out in a while that people have really kind of decided to watch, which was nice. But right after that I thought, the gifting events ended. Do you know what? I'm going to see if I can double my luck. It's before New Year's. Let's kind of see what I can get. And I picked up a 6-star Vulture. I must admit that was that. Oof. But it's like you said, you get that fresh champion, that strong champion, that theoretically becomes your lead champion, and it puts a new kind of emphasis and positivity on your grinding game and of your kind of lucking game and other stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to happen every day, but when it does, makes it all worth it.
So,
Absolutely.
speaking of, adding champions to the roster, we got a tease, and maybe an unintentional tease, when the new event quest went live. People noticed that Weapon X showed up in the champion list in game, and I know you are a huge Wolverine guy. Right?
I'm annoyed. I mean, there's also Christopher, if he's watching, listening. I know he's as well. Same thing. Back when I really can't remember when this was, but a long time ago, that champion was either teased or was going to look like he was going to be put in some sort of way or fashion. It was like, cool. Even though they kind of made him different to the other standard Wolverines. This was the first Wolverine that I think was, I could be wrong, had the Fury buff in his kind of like workings, and as well had elements with Berserker Rage that allowed him to go unstoppable and unblockable. I think unblockable. I could be wrong with that. I've definitely seen that pop up. But his regen, I think, was a lot stronger because I think they kind of tied into the fact that so he had just come out of the Weapon X program, so technically this character would be a stronger version. But I don't know if they've. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this now because I am annoyed about what this could be because it throws up several options, doesn't it? Of what this champion could be for different players depending on what they've achieved.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are worried that he's going to be the Legend Run prize for Act 6.
Oh man, that would really annoy me.
And that would be the only way to acquire him because we've been told that if you get an Act 6 Legend Run, either one of the prizes is going to be a 6-star champion that nobody currently has in their roster, and of course Weapon X does fit the bill there.
Yeah.
And we know Act 6.4 is coming, so with the timing, it's possible he's one of the options. I kind of hope that's not what it is because let's face it, other than Spider-Man, Wolverine is about as popular as it gets for Marvel characters. We have the regular Wolverine who isn't available as a 5-star or 6-star. We have Old Man Logan who's been recently buffed, but he's not he's not a champion you see getting used a lot now. And there's just so much material for Wolverine and different costumes. It's like there's got to be something. Like there should be more of a presence from Wolverine in this game, especially when you look at how many Spider-Men we have and how important they are to the ecosystem of the game.
Oh god, yeah. Most of them are becoming more handier for different things, especially when you look at your Stark Spidey and Night Monkey Stealth Suit Spidey versions.
Yep.
And less to degree the other ones. But I would love to see one of those Kabam introducing some of the ones they've had in the background, where they've had Jessica Jones in the background, an alternate version of Scarlet Witch, which as time goes on, and maybe at the time it's something to do with licensing, or maybe Kabam aren't happy with the build of those characters, that they decided not to kind of go through with actually putting them in game. And maybe there's certain champions that have just got to stay as enemy bosses. But it's just one of these ones where I think you kind of like hitting the nail on the head when you said about the fandom, and people like their Wolverines. I like my Wolverine. I'm sure a lot of people do as well. That they just like an opportunity to get him, and whether or not they get him through him being one day in arena, but mainly it's the case that they would put special crystals, maybe to like acknowledge some sort of anniversary. I should really check that up now. But what would you? How, if you were to put it down to something, where would you think this champion would come in? Would it be trophy from the Legends run, or is it a case that Kabam are keeping him as a boss, or is it a case where all going to get him?
I think it feels like a trophy to me. And just after this long, it feels that's what it feels like, and especially where we know Act 6.4 is coming soon, and the timing just feels like trophy. I hope I'm wrong. I think it'd be an awesome trophy if I was one of the people that already had a Legends run, in the can for Act 6 and was on the board to get the prize. I would be stoked to find out that it was Weapon X.
Yeah.
But I think for the rest of us that really would like to get him, then that would be pretty disappointing. Especially where there's so much story there for a Weapon X event quest.
Yeah.
It would feel like a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought I'd just like check up to see if maybe they're going to be doing something with a tie-in. Could they make a tie-in for some sort of like comic book release, which I still can't find out. I think it was definitely the 80s when he had his limited run, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get it in time to kind of pinpoint when it is. Whether or not they're actually going to be doing something special. No, I don't think they would do. I think it's going to be some sort of trophy-based champion. Or something very disappointingly.
Oh, Rich! Even when we get good news, it's not great.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's nice to know that they're still giving some love to that character, or have ideas to bring the older characters back that they've created and they've just like had on the shelf for a while. but I don't know. Right, I think that gives us a good time to move on to two champions that have recently... Well, I say one champion's been added in, and by the time the podcast is released, the second champion will have an embargo lifted. So let's first of all talk about Squirrel Girl.
Yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but I found her to be super entertaining and fun to play. I run Deep Wounds maxed out, so I'm always looking for like that next new bleed champion.
Yeah.
And she fit the bill for me. And I think what was nice too was like I felt like I got her instantly. Like these champions keep getting more and more complex.
Yeah.
And you have to go through this owner's manual of like, all right, what do I got to do? And it's like Squirrel Girl. It just went in. It's like, okay, the opponent's bleeding. I like that. Let's try the SP2. Oh, that did a lot of damage. All right, I think, it's like you're off to a good start. It's like, we do these really deep dives into champions, but it's like, a lot of the player base doesn't have time. Someone just shows up, and it's like trying to figure out, like, how do I use this champion based on first impressions? And, if you pulled a Sunspot or a Hyperion and didn't know anything about them, you just went in and started hacking away. By the time you shot off the first special 2, you'd be like, okay, there's something to work with here. And that's the way you feel with Squirrel Girl. Like it's, I'm sure there's going to be stuff to master about her, but I felt very good about the starting point with Squirrel Girl, which is very different with how I felt for Reed Richards and Silver Surfer, where there's so much to learn and so much ramp up before you even start to get to anything good.
Yeah. And with Squirrel Girl, I didn't have as much. The problem with most of these, it always falls on very odd times. I think we're getting more of a limited time with these champions for CCP review.
I mean, we only had 48 hours for Squirrel Girl, and then Nova. We've got him right now, and we're just ending our time with Nova. And it's tough, especially for me in the middle of the work week. It's you get a notice on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. It's like, all right, you get 48 hours. And it's like, all right, well, I can't leave my job to test out Nova right now, even though I really want to see what's up with him. So, it's great when you get him for, a longer period of time. Yeah. Because you do want to give people good information, too. Absolutely.
I think with the issue that I have is when things fall on things like, usually we see Thursday to Friday, we get the champion dropped, and I'm going off on a tangent, but I will bring it back on topic. The problem is with it, especially for me, I'll spend like 30 minutes to an hour researching and kind of like looking at stuff for MCC news on a Friday. So that's the preparation side of things when the champion is dropped. Then I live stream. Then I'll go to sleep. Then I wake up. Then I've got to record the news and edit it. And it's like, I know what can I say, like, the news and it's not exactly like fires in Australia, but it's the same thing. Like I don't have a team of researchers to get the information to me, and at the same time I don't have an editor. Certainly couldn't afford an editor to do it. But by the time that's all done, there's then limited time to then get other things sorted out before M comes home. As you know, like wife, partner, your son. It's just trying to inner work, giving a good review to that champion. A lot of the times, it's important to kind of bounce off other people's ideas. I just wish I had more time to kind of like get around to doing more of an in-depth on Squirrel Girl. But she is very easy to get on with, as you said. There's decent kit there, and there's decent damage there, which, it does put a smile on your face. I don't know. Are you thinking... Because when I did the video, I was thinking of the champion as an Abyss option based on certain aspects of kit.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but honestly, I haven't done a lot of thinking about the Abyss yet because I'm just not there. I'm not looking to jump in.
Oh, neither am I.
Yeah,
but it was the aspects I think with how she dealt with Evade that I think was the key aspects to that. Kind of. Yeah, there
is some nice utility there. And I do think she's a champion that does need to be awakened because otherwise you're going to be dealing with ramping up that combo
Yeah.
meter to really get her benefits. But if you have her awakened, you start at 40 on the combo meter, and I was finding I was getting to about 85 by the time I was launching a special 2, and just rinse and repeat. So you're getting the max benefit from the special every time.
Yeah.
Which was great, and I didn't feel like I was trying. Some of these champions like, oh, you gotta time this, you miss your window, and Squirrel Girl didn't really have any of that. Obviously, if you get hit, you're in trouble, but that goes with almost any champion. So it's hard to knock her on that. And I thought that whole like tippy toe, like back and forth thing would be confusing, but it really wasn't.
Yeah,
so, it's just
it reminds you like
don't knock them down.
Yeah, true. It's like a chameleon tongue, isn't it? You send the powerful tongue out to kind of like grasp onto like a bug or a fly. You then take it back, shoot it back out again. Yeah, that was a cool concept. And again, the same thing that I see from so many other people is they're commending Kabam's level of effort and detail with these character builds from a design perspective. Because I think if you hit Squirrel Girl, there's like fluff from, or kind of like like fluff from the tail that comes out. Yeah. If anybody who gets champion looks at that level of detail, and that's just such a fine level of detail to put in, not just obviously with the way that the champion works with animations, but they're definitely up in their game. Every new champion that's been put out.
It's astounding what they've been able to do in the last 6 months or so. I think if you look at Namor, Sunspot, Mysterio, Clairvoyant, they're just beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
It feels like someone like Squirrel Girl, like yes, she's a goofy character, but there's a lot of people that really really love her. As we speak, Dragon, our friend from UMCOC, is currently finishing up her grind, and I know she's been super stoked to get Squirrel Girl in her account. So there is a fan base for we think of Squirrel Girl as maybe like a newer or lesser known character, but she's been around for 30 years.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like such a rich back history of like stuff that she's done, people that she's taken down. What was it, like Doctor Doom and Thanos. That's it. And
I think she stalemated Galactus at one point. So it's I know there's some people that don't like her, but there's 160 other champions to play. If Squirrel Girl just isn't your thing, but I would just say she's fun. The champion is super smooth to play. I don't think she's gonna change the meta of the game, and I don't think she's overpowered just because if you take her into a bleed immune matchup, she has no damage.
Yeah.
It's kind of like she's kind of like Archangel Light in that way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if the champion bleeds, you're gonna have a great time. Otherwise, hold on, because you're gonna be tapping and swiping for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
I just thought I'd read out this kind of Kotaku post.
Yep.
So they put, adding Squirrel Girl to Marvel's Contest of Champions doesn't seem fair. And it looks like they've done a full article on that matter. Now, I thought it was just a GIF, but they
I did read this.
Yeah.
This was very tongue-in-cheek. I liked this. I don't know if I don't know why they're doing it, if they're really taking shots or it's just a total spoof, but it was well done. Yeah,
this is the thing that I've got some not kind of like beef, because I don't really have any beef, but I've got some mixed kind of thoughts towards Kotaku and things, and like people that it's because I don't know if this is because it's a strong female character that they're buying too much into this this kind of woke type nature. I'm not saying they are or not, but there's several people that I follow that talk about Kotaku in a very unfavourable manner, but also pick up on the way that they are sort of starting a militant kind of push for anything that if if they can have an arousing topic to get people in, that's how they're doing. They're driving clicks as opposed to strong journalism. But again, that's something maybe I kind of not to bring to the table. But it's something that I know that some people have mentioned to me about that in particular. But anyway, let's move on to Nova, shall we?
Nova. Now, is Nova one of the champions that you've been waiting a long time to get in the game?
I have been, and I think the problem that I've had with it, I've mainly fizzled over the last 48 hours and haven't actually had any time to review him. I did a little bit of a play around with him. If I've got the time, I'll put on the edit of this, I'll put up some footage of me just kind of playing around with the champion. I won't have enough time to do a video before the embargo lifts and before the champion is actually removed from our accounts. Which is sad, but then that's just like life kind of comes around.
There's only so many hours in the day, Rich.
Yeah.
Definitely feel it. And, to get 2 champion grants in a week really stretches your ability to put out content. I still have both of my reviews to get out. And it's just, it's a lot of work to do this. I did spend probably 3 or 4 hours playing with Nova so far. Again, looks amazing. He's that classic Richard Rider Annihilation era armor. That bright blue, bright gold. He's got the energy blast. Like, he looks really, really cool. I think this is going to set up one of those things that, people, they get upset about when someone like Squirrel Girl comes in and she's this bleed machine, and she, these instant bleeds are taking all this health down on a single hit, and then you've got Nova coming in as a defender. Yeah. And, doesn't look to me like a champion that a lot of people are going to want to play. No. Because the damage really isn't there. I think I was talking to, on the CCP server, we kind of talk about the champions, and I was talking to Cam and Professor Skill about how I feel about Ronan, and about Nova, and we were kind of ended up in the same place. Is that Nova kind of has a Ronan-like play style, the Hawkeye Ronan, where you're dashing in and dashing back, and that's kind of cool. But the damage really feels like Carnage 1.0.
Yeah,
he doesn't go anywhere. He's like stuck in neutral the whole time.
Yeah, from what I've played around with it, even a few people, including Professor Skill, hit the nail on the head. That'll be the code sequence of words for today. Nail on the head. Yeah. So comment nail on the head down in the comment section. But he did when he mentioned and pointed out the fact that within the kit of, and again that's the word seems to be used a lot, and I think I blame Kabam for saying kit all the time. But in the abilities of the champion, it says that you can, it's up to max 4 stacks, isn't it, of replenish it. Is it replenishing the Fury?
Oh, Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems,
no one could get there.
But no one could get there, and that's the issue, isn't it? Like, should there have been something after 7? Is it 70 or 75? I think 75 of 75. Yeah. 75 of the Nova charges, you're able to get a Fury. But maybe it should have been something similar to like a combo thing where, it's at 70 you get 1 Fury buff, at 80 you get a second Fury buff, and a third you get a third, and at the next one you get a third, and then at X amount you just basically do something as a combo builder. When was the last combo build that we had? Was that Guillotine 2099?
Guillotine 2099, yeah.
Maybe they should have just done them as a combo builder, that if you get, the most you can get is X amount of combos, and at each one of those combo markers or hit points, you then get yourself the 4 Furies, which are advertised as potentially you're getting. It's just very weird that, like you said, the amount of damage was just not there.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's not hard to get to 75 Nova charges, but you're in this. It's kind of like a currency in the fight. Like, you're gaining them, you're spending them all the time. Like, if you throw a double medium, you're spending 25 Nova charges on the second medium. So that's going to prevent you from getting to 75 quicker. Or, if you throw a special, you're going to spend some Nova charges. If you overshoot, you're going to get to 100 and you're going to go unblockable, and then you reset the whole time. So
Although I did like
you know,
that. I like going unblockable and doing some kind
I
of...
like going unblockable. Like that's
That-
fun.
yeah.
That's fun to play. You know, and it's cool because Nova gains power when he's dashing forward. So if you time it, you can, you know, dash forward, go to 100, become unblockable, gain power, and, you know, maybe hit him with a special too. So, you know, but again, I think my number one issue with Nova is he has some really cool abilities and utility, but once you get them in play, you can't really capitalize on them because the damage isn't there.
Yeah.
Like, if what's the point in getting True Strike if you can't take someone down, you know, during the window that you've got True Strike, or, you know, going unblockable is great, but you know, if you can't do some serious damage, then you know, it doesn't really matter. And I had some really long fights testing him. One big difference between Nova and what I liked about Squirrel Girl was in the synergy partners. Squirrel Girl has some really strong synergy partners, champions that we've already ranked up, like Luke Cage and Doctor Doom and Sentinel, and no one's going to complain about taking Doctor Doom on the team just to make Squirrel Girl a little better. Like that's just not going to happen. And that's, you know, going back, that's one of the reasons why Blade was so popular for all these years, is because no one's going to complain about having to take Ghost Rider and Stark Spidey along for the ride.
Yeah.
You know, but Nova's not like that. Unfortunately, you know, Nova's best synergies are with champions like Iron Fist and Rhino, who no one wants to rank up and take into Act 6 content. And he's got another one with Drax and Gamora. You know, Gamora's okay, but we don't really, you know, she doesn't get used a lot. And she does have, he does have some synergies with, you know, his new warrior partners like Darkhawk and Night Thrasher. But I actually think the Darkhawk one benefits Darkhawk a lot more than Nova. And then he's got that weird one with Bishop and Havoc, where he gets Nova charges if he's taking energy damage. And I'm not sure how that's going to really help him, because you don't generally want to be taking energy damage. And it's not like he's not like Bishop, where it's like, okay, well, you know, Bishop takes some energy damage and gets to 3 bars of power, you are in trouble. You know, that's not what's going on with Nova. And then he's got one last one with Annihilus, where he's got I think his block proficiency you know, going forward, and that, you know, plays into his auto block. But that's kind of a weird one, because it's defensive, but defender synergies aren't on in Alliance War. So I'm not exactly sure how that really, I mean, you don't want to get caught intercepting.
No, that's true.
So
I don't. Nova's not really kind of ticked a lot of boxes for me, but it'll be interesting to see how play. I mean, from a nostalgia point of view, and because it's Nova, I'm sure a lot of people will go for him. But his defensive applications seem better than his offensive applications. But you never know. There could be a synergy around the corner that wants to... I'm actually surprised so far, and something I'll probably be putting in a video, that Nova, who is a Herald of Galactus, is not the synergy for Silver Surfers, if I can get this up now, the Heralds of Galactus. So the question mark, obviously for the CCP... The
question mark is still there.
The question mark is still there. So that's something I will be covering in another video, maybe a discussion that we can talk about in the next podcast. But I think this is a good time to end on. We've covered all the stories. If there's anything...
I know. I think we had a good first episode, Rich. I'm so glad we're finally getting this up and running. And, you know, it's always fun to talk Marvel Contest of Champions with you.
Absolutely. Same with yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find us both doing different things, but similar things at the same time, because it's all around the game. If you go to, as I said, the link in the description, you'll be able to find Frontline MCOC, which is what Dan works on. You can find me on YouTube based on, well, you're on my channel. But that will change in future. We'll put something together where we'll be live streaming this to you lovely people watching and listening. And also, it would be handy if you got any feedback, put it in the comment section down below. But we do plan to have this as a guest-based program or podcast, because there's so many. Dan, you want people on here. I want people on here. So
we've got a great community, Rich, and it'd be a shame not to get to talk to them and get their input. It's so nice to just be able to talk about the game because we don't get the opportunity to do that in real life. So I'm all for bringing on the guests and doing some interviews, and there's so much to know about this game. No one person can do it all. So I think having guests on in the future is going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, I think we'll have people from MCC YouTubers. We'll have representatives from Kabam. We will be at a later date doing specific podcasts that cover stuff with Marvel Realm of Champions when that comes out. Hence the name, the Contest Realm Podcast. It's a beautiful name, and it's got beautiful people on it. Just me and Dan. That's the beautiful people.
Yeah.
The guests, they may be beautiful. I don't know.
Well, I mean, your hair is probably the highlight of everything.
Yeah, I get that a lot. about my hair. Although, was it Christopher?
I haven't seen it in person at New York Comic Con. It is astounding.
Thank you. There's a lot of scaffolding that goes into like sticking it up and doing whatnot with it. But in any case, on that note, as I said, go down to the description and find out what we're both up to this week. Dan, anything particular you're up to in the coming week?
I am trying to get through Squirrel Girl and Nova reviews at the moment, and then I am trying to release a full guide to Variant 4 with individual chapter and lane breakdowns of the defenders and the champions I took. So, when I was a kid gaming, I would go on the internet, I'd be wanting those written, chapter guides. So I've kind of written it in that sort of old school gamer, level by level guide style that I hope people are gonna find helpful if they just want to say, oh, what about this one lane in here? I need to look at this, and MVP champs, things like that. So very much looking forward to getting out a Variant 4 guide in the next week or so.
Fantastic. I think I'm going to be doing the same, but towards the latter point of the month. More opinion pieces for me next week, as well as the Marvel Contest of Champions news in general. And we'll probably be releasing another podcast, maybe next week, maybe in a couple of weeks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming by and listening. I've been RichTheMan. Obviously, I've been joined by Dan at Frontline MCOC. Goodbye for now.